Good afternoon, it's Dave at All Things Important Reviews. Please smash that like button, please smash that subscribe button for more awesome watch content. I've got with me today the Casio G Steel GST B400 1A ER. This is obviously on a rubber band, not on a bracelet. And I had to pick up this model because I wanted to try it out on the band to see if they've gone back to using a much more supple, softer resin band than the one found on the B300, which I found was not comfortable. And I love the contrast between stainless and black in general. I think stainless and black rubber or black resin, plastic strap, I think they go together so well. And with this being a super thin watch, even though it's not really super thin, it's super thin for G-Shock, with it being only 12.9mm thick, I felt as though with the weight being low as well, that it would be a great match. And I can confirm that this is one of the greatest G-Steels that I've ever fit on my wrist, because it's got the sizing right and it's got the comfort right. The band is perfect for the watch, basically. Even though I will actually be wearing it, and I'm going to show you in a minute, I will be wearing it on a bracelet, because I still prefer bracelets, being the person that I am. But this is super light on the rubber band. And I found some other older G Steel series that have had some other G-Shocks on a rubber band, with metal, with stainless steel case, because I think it goes great together. They don't look, they felt too top heavy, or didn't feel that, at the looseness that I put them on the wrist, it didn't fit perfectly right for me, whereas this one does. I can put this just on the fourth setting, and it basically stays in place and fits great. So anyway, let's start with the basics. I've mumbled on a bit there about the good news kind of thing. So obviously this is a G-Shock, which obviously means it has all the standard performance criteria that you get with a G-Shock brand. Things such as being able to withstand extremely tough endurance and strength and all that type of stuff. It will have a Hardlex crystal, but it's not a standard Hardlex. They put something on it, Casio, to make it superior. And I can confirm, after years of using them, it is difficult to scratch this glass, whatever it is. It is difficult to scratch it. It's not glass, obviously. It's like it's like some kind of polycarbonate, but ultimately the crystal, it's not your standard Hardlex crystal. 200-meter water resist, so you can take it diving, you can take it swimming, no problem, as long as you don't push one of them buttons. You've got all the standard modes for Casio, G-Shocks, world time, stopwatch, alarm, all that type of stuff. Light, and the light works very well, I can confirm. This is a 49mm diameter, 49mm that way, by 46.5 by only 12.9mm thick. So brilliant, a great size. The lug to lug being low is the winner, basically. That's why it feels small on the wrist. So for sizing, it's one of the best sized G-Shocks. You can get G-Shocks that are what's called the G-Shock squares, like the 500-600s and all them. But for me personally, them G-Shock squares are too small. They fit more like a true 40mm watch or 39mm watch. And a true 40mm and true 39mm watch is too small for me. Therefore, I prefer them a bit bigger. Now, this fits, in my opinion, like a 42, 43mm watch. Because it's so light, even though it is 49mm, that's a very misleading spec, because it's only 46.5 lug to lug. So it does fit different on the wrist, 100%. The dial is super sporty, obviously. You've got the battery indicator on the left. You've got a sub-dial here in negative and another sub-dial here in negative as well. So you can change all your functions and stuff. I'm not going to go through all of them today. I never use the functions other than possibly the alarm, but now I just use my phone. So really the only function I really use would be, oh, by the way, it's tough solar as well. I should have told you that. This is tough solar and it's Bluetooth. So it charges with sunlight or fluorescent light or non-fluorescent light basically. So it'll charge up. You can charge it off a lamp in your house if you really wanted to. But just leaving it on a windowsill once every so often will give you high generally. The indicator there tells you whether it's on high or low. You can see. It has a chapter ring that's got some red indices for a nice little touch to give it a third colour that goes with this wheel here. This like spinning cog thing. The loom, I can't really show it you, but the loom is on the hands and the hands are well lit, but the loom of my standard G-Shock that I wear, the hands are probably similar to it, but they should have loomed the outer ring as well. They're not significantly loomed, the outer ring, unfortunately. That is one downside. But the dial is super sporty, as we know. But ultimately, it is a sporty watch. It's not a dress watch by any stretch of the imagination. This is a watch for work. This is a watch. It could be dressed up, but you'd have to wear it with a bracelet, in my opinion. But this would look great with a leather jacket, you know, weekend, casual, that type of stuff. But it is a sporty watch, there's no question about it. The bezel is plain, it's not patterned. I personally do prefer patterned, but this has a kind of more simpler look, essentially, they've gone for on this model. You can get variations of this watch, which I probably will pick up just to review, such as a black bezeled one with like a grenade style bezel, pattern bezel in black, looks absolutely beautiful, with a bracelet, a stainless steel bracelet, looks absolutely stunning. You can get like a green one with a green bezel that looks absolutely drop dead gorgeous, and I have to pick that one up as well, and that one has better indices. The main criticism of this dial for me is going to be that they've not made the indices white. Personally, not just the outer chapter ring, I would prefer if those full indices that are like a dark grey, I would prefer them if they were completely white, so it's easier to read the time. You can read the time okay, but I would prefer them to be white. And I know other people are going to say I would prefer it if the subdials were positive, not negative. For me, I'm not too bothered about that because I won't be using subdials, or very rarely. Yeah, just seeing there, just say water resistance. It tells you the water resistance on the actual dial as well. With the received, that means Bluetooth received. So ultimately, the dial is decent and it's sporty look. The bezel is fixed, obviously. It's not a dive bezel by any stretch of the imagination. But it's solid. The watch feels completely solid. All the functions, if you're going to use them, you can set your own time, or you can set it to a standard time that's like pre-built into it. Or if you really want to, you can get your phone and hook it up to by Bluetooth and get your time synchronized with your phone time, which is going to be perfect timekeeping. Someone told me in another video that now Bluetooth only very negligibly drains battery. But personally, I don't like keeping my Bluetooth on my phone. As I mentioned a million times, I would prefer if these watches had multiband, and they don't. Multiband gives it radio timekeeping, which means it would just automatically receives the radio signal from Anthem in England, or if you're in America, or if you're in China, Japan. I think Germany or France has one, and I can't remember the other country, but there's about 6 or 7 countries in the world that have it. that it will latch onto, and you can get perfect timekeeping, but you can't with this phone because it doesn't have it. If you want that, you'd have to get the watches that I've reviewed previously that are slightly older models, or there's loads of current models that have it. You can get it in the MTG B2000. I mean, you can get it in super cheap ones that are just cheap squares, or the Wave Scepter ones. I wish they did put it in these B range, but they don't for some reason. But yeah, you can get it in the MTG B1000, MTG B2000, I think. They're slightly more expensive though. The RRP on them will be a lot more than this, will be probably 3 times the amount. But I am going to get the MTG B2000. I had the MTG B1000. I bought it in Thailand in 2019. But I sold it before I had this channel because the lug to lug was quite big, and I felt as though it was too bulky to some degree. But now I wish I had it again to review. Maybe I'll pick it up. Anyway, so still great specs, great sizing. Bezel's a bit plain, but that's fine. The dial could be more legible, but it's still a decent effort. Now, when it comes to case back, standard stainless steel plate, screwed on case back with your standard information. Tough Solar 20 bar, Japanese movement, all that. Now the band has quick release pins, as you can see. You can't get your finger in there, or it's extremely difficult to do. So I just got a little tool and just pressed it, and it just gives way and comes out. Super easy to take off and on, and super comfortable. I'll put it on my wrist. Beautiful. That's on quite a loose-ish setting, and it fits perfect. It stays in position, doesn't move too much, and looks the dog's bollocks. Now then, someone's asked me, can you put stainless steel bracelet on this watch? And the answer is yes, you can. This is the bracelet, and this is the same watch. Oh, I hope. Yeah. So this is the bracelet and the watch, and this is the same watch, but obviously the bracelet model, and they have a different pin system. The pins. Oh. These are the pins. You put them in like that, then they're locked in. Now that is different, obviously, but you can still fit it because it has the same cutout. You can fit it into that, but you have to use these pins and this bracelet, obviously. So I will show you in another video, I will show you what this looks like on bracelet, because I'm going to be wearing it on a bracelet because I don't like it. Well, no, I like it on a rubber band, but I just prefer bracelets. So as I've mentioned before about the cost of these Casios, these G-Shocks, there is no other company in the world that do them at this price point with a spec, the 200 meter water, the tough solar, never having to change that battery or once every 10 years or so. That is brilliant. That is brilliant. Not having it recharging the battery all the time is fantastic. Having Bluetooth if you want to use it to get the perfect timekeeping all year round in any country in the world. You can go to Thailand, Southeast Asia, you can go to America, you can go to Mexico. You can, as long as your phone is synchronized, you can get perfect timekeeping. Name another supplier in the world that does them to this spec, to this robustness, with the features that are packed into the G-Shocks. I paid in a deal just over 200 quid just over 200 quid. Name another company in the world that does watches like this for that spec at that price point. There is none. And I can tell you one thing as well that it's made me realise this. There's not enough companies out there, and I don't know if it's because the technology is difficult to do and all that, but there's not enough companies out there. I know Citizen do it, that do radio timekeeping or do solar charging on watches. There, you know, imagine being able to buy like you know, the Bulova Marine Star, or you know, a diver from Hamilton, or a diver from Citizen, or you know, so I know it doesn't, just because it's a diver, it doesn't need to be tough solar, but imagine being able to buy a really good, nice dive watch, or even a nice quartz watch, right? But a diver below £1,000, and it having the tough solar and the Bluetooth to connect to your phone to have that perfect timekeeping. You know, companies like Victorinox, companies like Luminox, you know, if those models that they do below £1,000, they should be putting stuff, in my opinion, they should be putting stuff like tough solar and Bluetooth or radio timekeeping in their watches for the price you pay, because Casio can do it for 200 quid. That Casio can do it for even less than this, but what you're getting with this watch, the stainless steel, the plastic, the carbon core material that gives it super strength, you know, the Bluetooth and all that, for the price, it's unbeatable. There's no one out there doing it. So they're in a somewhat of an uncontested league of their own, these G-Shocks, because some of them, I don't like all of them, but I like the majority of them because the value is so good, and you can't get all this spec packed into a watch off other manufacturers for a similar price. You can't. I've checked it out, and there's basically no one. I'd love to be proved wrong, but you know, more manufacturers need to do, as some of the ones I've just said, some of the more affordable manufacturers below £1,000, they should be offering some of this technology in their watches. Now, it could be that to get the technology in the watch requires loads of research and development, or as a massive cost to set the factories up, or whatever it is, that only Casio with multi-billion-pound turnover have properly invested in. And that could be true. I don't know. I'm not an expert in this. But what I'm saying is I believe a lot more manufacturers should be putting the technology in the watches that are similar to this, because once you go to a tough solar, or once you go to radio, Bluetooth, you'll never go back to farting about. And don't get me wrong, I like seeing, you know, the seconds hand sweeping on an automatic watch, but ultimately I'm a utilitarian guy and I like it right. And these Bluetooth watches, or these radio watches, they get it right, and Casio do get it right. It's a great watch. It will be even more beautiful on the bracelet, which I'm going to show you in a different video. It does fit. So yeah, and this is, I can confirm, this is the comfiest, one of the comfiest stainless steel and rubber G-Shocks ever. It is probably the comfiest G-Steel ever, probably. It's definitely the comfiest I've ever worn, and it's comfy on a bracelet. It's super comfy on a bracelet. You can't go wrong. You can pick the bracelet up off aftermarket sellers, possibly even from Casio direct, but super comfortable, looks really good, really sporty, great little holiday watch. So yeah, or work watch for the week. My only criticism would be really, the dials should be more legible, even more, with the indices. The bezel, I'd prefer it to be patterned, but they've gone down this route with this particular model. They've got the same models, slightly different variation in colour and style, that you can get some of the other variations if you want. Thanks for checking the review out. It's been Dave. Have a great day. Cheers.